We have got a Fox News alert for you. Overnight, around midnight, a package blew up inside a Federal Express facility in Schertz, Texas, about an hour outside of Austin, where police are now hunting for a serial bomber. Here to weigh in is former FBI counterterror agent, man responsible for catching the Unabomber, Terry Turchi. Terry, good morning to you.
Good morning, Steve.
So what do you make of this? It looks as if there could be a connection because it's another bomb. Apparently it had some nails, metal shrapnel in it, blew up on a conveyor belt.
Well, we'll certainly know soon enough. Sometime later today, I imagine the people who are working this will have a really good tentative idea from explosives experts whether or not these devices are connected. And of course, as the hours and days go by, we'll know with some certainty. As they do this crime scene and they look at the shrapnel and they look at the wiring and they look at whatever is left of that package and that bomb that was at FedEx, they're going to be able to tell if these devices are connected. Sure. And that's a big deal because you don't just walk in usually and drop a package at FedEx. And even if you drop it off at a drop box somewhere, many of those have cameras and other things that might help them identify or at least go towards identifying who is doing this.
Okay. Terry, in the last 30 seconds, the Associated Press is reporting that the FBI says it is likely linked to what happened in Austin. But what you were just describing about the fact that now there is somebody who actually had to transport it to some sort of a FedEx drop box or a FedEx location, this could be a big break.
It really could. And a lot of times people are looking at these and they look very random, and they are random. We have a hard time at this stage figuring out motives and things, but what we do know from the past is if you look and you start really digging into all the separate locations where crimes occurred, you look at the various corridors like the interstates that are going from north, south, east to west from these places, you can start to get kind of a sense of the environment and the entrance to and the exit from these places that the bomber might have taken. You can start coming up with ideas as to where you might go and find cameras. We have computers now that we didn't have back in Unabomb. They can collect and then assess a lot of information, up to and including photographs and things. And just an example of how these things can come together. Right. Let's look at the Olympic bombing. They literally had no cameras at Centennial Park in 1996, but what they did is hundreds of agents literally fanned out, interviewed and found anybody and everybody in the park that night and asked them one question: did you take photos? Right. And then they got the photos and they made this massive display at the command post, literally accounting for every second. Sure. Of that time. And we can do things like that now that we couldn't ever do back then, and that may help as well.
Terry, before what blew up in Schertz, Texas overnight, people down there that I've been watching, the ATF folks and the FBI people, were saying that the latest device, which was left alongside a road, that ratchets everything up because it's much more sophisticated. It had a tripwire. And now this new device apparently was so durable it could last the ride in the truck to the FedEx facility, and it was able to survive a whole bunch of people touching it until for some reason it went off on the conveyor belt.
Well, that sounds like, for example, Theodore Kaczynski, who hopped on Greyhound buses and traveled for 1,000 miles holding in his hands his package bomb that he was going to mail from another address. People who do this really learn and know what they're doing, and they're devious enough to want to go ahead and implement these plans. And they're not like the rest of us, that's for sure. But this whole series of things, though, if you think about it, going back to where it all began on March 2nd, this person planned this ahead of time. He didn't go back and probably build another bomb to go out a few days later. He was ready to go and to do a lot of damage and to escalate this on his own as things progressed.
You know, the other thing, Terry, is we only know of the one bomb that exploded. He could have mailed more. I'm sure the police are looking through everything at that facility down in Schertz, Texas. Terry Turchi is going to stay with us throughout the program today to monitor the events down with the Austin bomber. Sir, thank you very much.